The Madman! Welcome to another Saviors of Uldum review. We'll start with Taiga Flames, one of the best flavor texts I've seen. This is fine. 1 mana Warlock spell, destroy all your minions. For each one, destroy a random enemy minion. I'm gonna point out this card is 1 mana, and Twisting Nether is 8 mana. Destroy potentially the whole board. Like, that's really powerful. The catch, of course, is that to destroy the whole board, you must have the whole board. One could argue, why not just trade your minions in, lol, if you have minions, and sometimes your opponent has much bigger minions than you do. Play 2 Mecharus or something, and then you play Taiga Flames and you kill their 2 Mountain Giants. Or, big tech, you play Reform Scheme and Taiga Flames, and you wipe out their whole board of Giants for 4 mana. Question is, do you run Taiga Flames in your traditional Zoo deck? Because Zoo's plan is to be ahead, so having a card that destroys all of your minions as a fallback plan seems like a bad idea. So then the question is, do you play this exactly with Reform Scheme and perhaps Fiendish Circle for mass removal, which costs less than Twisting Nether but requires a 2-card combo? That one, I'd say that's a possibility. Depends a lot on if the meta is going to have really big guys. Anubis Defender. Druid 5 mana 3/5 taunt costs 0 if you've cast a spell that costs 5 or more this turn. Welcome back, Arcane Tyrant, but just for Druid. So a few of the popular cards that Druid has that cost 5 or more right now are the Forest Aid, and while it's only the Forest Aid right now, there are 2 cool cards that just might see play, especially with Anubis Defender as a card. Also revealed is Overflow, 7 mana Druid spell, restore 5 health to all characters, draw 5 cards. Now, people are going to compare this with Ultimate Infestation and be like, it's no Ultimate Infestation. But I'd argue you should compare it with Sprint and be like, holy cow, that's a card. Compared to Sprint, you're drawing 1 extra card, and you're even getting, and I would say this, the bonus of restoring 5 health to all characters, because you're usually a control deck when you're playing Overflow, and you would like the health gain. In fact, since it does restore 5 health to all characters, this has a synergy with Heal Druid. It was actually kind of hard to restore 5 health as a precondition to play Crystal Stag, but Overflow just default gets you the 5 health. Crystal Stag is really efficient, 5 mana for 8/8 worth of rush, and Overflow draws you so many cards that decent chance you draw into Crystal Stag if you don't already have it in your hand. It is possible that Overflow is your first card enabling all of your heal stuff. Like, this is actually looking like it is something. I think Heal Druid just might be on the menu. And I'd say most of the credit will go towards Overflow, but a decent amount of the credit goes towards Anubis Defender as well, because Overflow is slow tempo, but when you get to play a 3/5 taunt with it, then your Overflow effect really only costs 3 mana. 3 mana, draw 4 cards. That's insane. Paladin, we have Micro Mummy. 2 mana, 1/2, Reborn, also mech. At the end of your turn, give another random friendly minion +1 attack. Finally, we see a Paladin class card with Reborn. We're going to need quite a few more for the Paladin Reborn quest to work. It's basically the Swordsmith, except it has Reborn. Honestly, if you give any card that's not great right now Reborn, especially on a low mana card, it becomes quite a bit better. There's a potential problem behind going turn 1 quest into turn 2 Micro Mummy, because it means you won't have a card on the board to buff with +1 attack. You'd much rather do something like turn 1 Mecharu into Micro Mummy, but then you don't get the credit for the quest. If you manage to give another random friendly minion +1 attack, then you can see this card as potentially 2/2 in stats. And then with the Reborn adding 1/1, it's like potentially 3/3 worth of stats, but it's kind of tough. If your opponent just has a 2/2, they can kill the Micro Mummy and still have their 2/2 survive. Livewire Lance, a warrior weapon, 3 mana, 2/2. After your hero attacks, add a lackey to your hand. Wow, that card's really good. If you're considering a lackey to be worth the same as a card, in fact, it's a really good card early in the game, and in the late game it's not great because you just drew kind of a 1 mana type card. But in the early game, and this Lance comes out in the early game, it's a really powerful effect. So to be able to play this on turn 3 and generate lackeys immediately, you could play this, hit something, generate a lackey, turn 4 you hit something again, generate another lackey, get 2 lackeys in your hand ready to play on turn 4 alongside like a 2-mana card. That's really good for practically all types of warriors. The only problem is that warriors have so many good cards, it'll be tough to find a cut to put the Livewire Lance into your control warrior or into your bomb warrior deck. But I feel like the cuts will be made. My personal suspicion is that Weapons Project and Harrison Jones go, because you need to fit in your Super Collider and potentially your Livewire Lances. This is also a good time to introduce the 6th lackey, Titanic Lackey. This lackey gives a friendly minion +2 health and taunt. I generally rate this lackey as fairly low compared to the others, but still decent. +2 health and taunt is fairly weak for 1 mana. It's a bit more of a conditional lackey, such as the Goblin Lackey, where Goblin Lackey really wanted to play on something you just summoned right now. A Titanic Lackey you want to play when you have a minion that's about to trade into another minion, but with +2 health, you would trade and not trade, you would actually like survive with 1 or 2 health. And in those conditions, Titanic Lackey is pretty good. But in those conditions, Witchy Lackey is also really good, because Witchy Lackey really likes transforming cards that have traded and survived. But past that, it also has the nice, it can save you if you just need a minion to have taunt. Cool Lackey and Livewire Lance, I expect to see a good amount of. Desert Spear. Hunter weapon, 3 mana 1/3. After your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 Locust with Rush. Locust is a beast, so it triggers a lot of the beast synergies. I think the Desert Spear is fairly good. It's at least as good as a 3 mana 2/3, but it has benefits over that because you can spread out the 2 attack on your weapon. You can send 1 to one thing, 1 to another thing. You can choose to kill a 1 health minion and not even attack with a Locust, so you just have a 1/1 on the board. And the 1/1 does benefit from synergies. The main problem with this card is that enough to push that over Headhunter's Hatchet, which costs 1 mana less? On top of that, Headhunter's Hatchet is not currently run in every mid-range hunter deck. The 3 mana spot is kind of contested. So Desert Spear, it's like, 3 is a tough spot when 2 is so much of a better spot with not that much proactive stuff you want to play on 2. And again, the Headhunter's Hatchet doesn't even really run that often. So Desert Spear, Warlock Legendary. It's Dark Pharaoh Tekon. 5 mana 4/4 Battlecry. For the rest of the game, your lackeys are 4/4. So that's fairly big. If you play only 1 lackey, total worth of 7/7 for 5. In that respect, it reminds me a lot of hand buff cards. Tekon could be considered not just a hand buff card, but a future buff for any future lackeys. And if you happen to have lackeys on the board, instant buff to your lackeys, but I wouldn't count on that happening very often. Now, the awkward thing about Dark Pharaoh Tekon is it comes at the same time as one of the cards that I considered like super good in Warlock, Evil Recruiter, where you just destroy a friendly lackey to summon a 5/5 demon. You're a lot less incentivized to sacrifice a lackey when the lackey is 4/4. But just because I think Tekon's effect is so good, you might just run Dark Pharaoh Tekon, as well as your 2 Evil Recruiters. It's not like they completely kill off synergy also, because you could play a 4/4 lackey, post Tekon, trade it into, say, a 3/3, and then you Evil Recruiter your 4/1 and change it into a 5/5. I think the big question mark right now is Warlock going to get another lackey generator? I personally feel like they will, because it would be strange to have so much lackey interaction and not having an extra way to generate lackeys for one of the biggest lackey classes, Warlock. And I do also think that this lackey deck is going to be more mid-range than Zoo. It's got a lot of good mid-range tools. One such tool that may occur would be Glinda plus lackeys. That's a late game plan, but Glinda has decent stats by herself, and lackeys are an excellent card to echo, especially when your lackeys are 4/4s. And then finally, we conclude this review with a very exciting card. It's Vile Fiend. It's a 2 mana 2/2 lifesteal, and a demon. I was kidding when I said we're ending on an exciting note, but we're just going pretty much in chronological order for all of these reviews. Yeah, it's pack filler. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next review.
Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb.